In the name of God, I am Kamankashi and I am here with the 16th section of the International Transport Training. In this tutorial, we want to get acquainted with the term chargeable weight or the payable weight, which is one of the most frequently used terms in air transport. Please stay with me. Given that in the context of air transport, the primary basis for calculating freight charges is typically the weight of the cargo being shipped. Whether we have a heavy item or a bulky item can affect the calculation of this freight charge. Therefore, we consider two metrics for calculating the freight charge. One is the actual weight of the cargo, which is the gross weight, and the other is the volumetric weight of the cargo, the calculation of which we will review together in this tutorial. This volumetric weight is called volumetric weight. In the end, these two metrics are compared, and whichever is greater is taken as the basis for calculating the freight charge, and it is called the chargeable weight, which is the payable weight. When an air freight inquiry is sent to you or to an airline, they will typically calculate its volumetric weight based on the specific dimensions of the packages that are being shipped. They also have the actual weight of the cargo. They compare these two values, and whichever one is greater then becomes the basis for calculating the total freight charge. Airlines use a specific formula according to which every cubic meter of cargo must be considered as weighing 167 kilograms. According to this calculation, the volumetric weight of the cargo is obtained, and then they make the final comparison and get the chargeable weight. To help you understand my example better, let's go over it with an example. Let's assume we have one pallet with dimensions of 140 by 100 by 90 centimeters, and we want to calculate the air freight charge. The actual weight of this pallet is 150 kilograms. First, we'll calculate the volume of this package. In other words, we need to find out its CBM. To calculate the CBM, as you know, we first need to convert the dimensions to meters and then multiply them together. So we convert 140, 190 to meters. As you can see on the second line, that gives us 1.41 and 0.9. Finally, we multiply them together and the total volume of our cargo becomes 1.26 CBM. To calculate the volumetric weight of the cargo, or what's known as volumetric weight, we have to apply the rule I mentioned in the previous slide. We consider every cubic meter of cargo to be 167 kilograms. So we need to take this CBM and multiply it by 167. That means we multiplied 1.26 CBM by 167, and we arrived at the number 210. This 210 is our volumetric weight. Now, if we compare that to 150, which was the actual weight of our cargo as mentioned in the first line, we can see that our volumetric weight is higher. Therefore, we can say that in this example, our basis for calculation is the volumetric weight, the number 210. And we can say our chargeable weight is equal to 210. As you can see in the explanation that follows, we said that if the actual weight is greater than the volumetric weight, we consider the actual weight. And if the volumetric weight is greater than the actual weight, we consider the volumetric weight. Now, the second to last line states that if our pallet's actual weight had been 260 kilograms, that is the actual weight we said was 150 kilograms in the first line, if it were 260 kilograms instead, then since our volumetric weight came out to 210 kilograms, we would use the actual weight. So the chargeable weight would have been equal to the actual weight of the pallet. Let me add an explanation here. For any number of pallets you have, you must first find the total volume of all the pallets and then multiply that total volume by 167. In this case, we had one pallet, so the CBM of that single pallet was calculated and multiplied by 167. If we had 5 pallets, we would need to calculate the total volume of all 5 pallets and then multiply that by 167. If you had different pallets with various dimensions, you would need to calculate the CBM or cubic meter volume for each one individually, add them all together, and then multiply the total by 167.